What's up, guys? It's your girl Chelsea, the wannabe Hecate, coming at you with my first tarot video. Exciting. So I try to do tarot readings every week for my Instagram page. They can be read for sun, moon, and rising sign. Before the quarantine and everything happened with coronavirus, I was doing tarot scopes for the signs every week. But I kind of stopped those and put them to the side while all this craziness is going on. And once things go back to normal, they're going to come back. But for now, I'm just doing small readings every week for the signs. As always, I will have the times in the description for specific signs if you'd like to skip around. This week I used a spread by Sleepy Wizard. Their Tumblr link is right here. The spread is pretty standard. We have 3 cards from my Tattoo Tarot, each of which are going to be representing something you need to move forward, something you need to remember, and what you stand to gain right now. There's also going to be a card from my Animal Allies Oracle deck, and that's going to be like a message of hope for you. So for Aries, what you need to move forward is the Six of Swords. This is a card of letting go, becoming someone new, leaving behind who you were, and deciding what you're going to take with you and what you don't really need anymore, so what you can get rid of. So basically right now, in order to move forward, you maybe need to think about getting rid of some extra baggage or extra clutter in your mind. For what you need to remember, I pulled the moon. Now, the moon is interesting because what it usually does is kind of remind us that we can be projecting fear into our present or our future based on things that have happened in our past. So I'm getting the vibe that maybe you're going into like uncertain territory right now, but it doesn't really necessarily have to be the bad kind of scary. It could be like exhilarating or thrilling. I'm getting the vibe that you just need to let go of a lot of anxiety and self-doubt, which is going to go along with the Six of Swords that I just talked about, letting go of negative things that don't really serve you anymore. For what you stand to gain, I have the Queen of Wands, and she's going to stand for very fierce personal power, knowing how strong you are and owning it and channeling that strength to your best advantage. The Queen of Wands is all about being in a place where you believe in what you stand for, you know what you want, and you're going after it with a very direct approach. And this is what you stand to gain. Once you leave behind the things you don't need anymore, you can step into that personal power and use it to your advantage to get the things that you want. Your message of hope is the Canary. Speak up for yourself, sing your beautiful song. There's no need for you to copy anyone else's. Your own is unique and beautiful, and the world needs to hear it. Canary can also be a warning to be careful what you say this week, because words can cut deep if you're not careful. This week, try to lift others up to your level rather than stoop down to theirs. Taurus, what you need to move forward, I pulled the Seven of Swords. So right now you need to be strategic in everything that you're doing. Make sure that you're prioritizing your tasks and focusing on what's most important first. The Seven of Swords can also be considered a card of like deceit and trickery, so make sure that you're being very honest with yourself. For what you need to remember, I have the Two of Wands. So this card can kind of be considered like a decision card, and if a decision comes up for you where, you can kind of stick to what you've been doing or you can take a risk, maybe explore your options. As long as you're maintaining your plan and you have your goal in mind, it's okay for you to have a little fun along the way as you get there. Which takes me to the card I pulled for what you stand to gain, the Four of Wands. This is a card of like celebration and joy and returning to like people and places that are really familiar to you. It made me think of how it's your season right now, and so for some of you, you might have just had your birthday or your birthday's coming up, and even though we are, some of us still staying home or still in quarantine, it doesn't mean that your birthday can't still be special, and you should do everything you can to celebrate it however you want and make it as special as you can, even though the circumstances are not as great as they could be right now. Your message of hope is the Coyote, which is all about lightening up, having fun, not taking things too seriously. Like I said, it's your season, so like do something fun that makes you happy. Be flexible right now, things don't have to be complicated. Try to make them simple if you can. Gemini placements. For what you need to move forward, I have the reverse Eight of Cups. So this card could mean like maybe you're wondering what your next course of action is and you've been reflecting on that. What you're going to need to do if you are facing some sort of tough decision right now is just listen to your heart. It's okay to take advice from other people, but what you need to remember and what's important is that it comes down to you and what makes you happy. So you just have to ask yourself, what do you truly want? For what you need to remember, I pulled the reverse Page of Swords. So basically right now, tackle things one at a time. Don't try to do a bunch of things at once. It's just going to overwhelm you. you, it's not really going to work out. If you've been thinking about something to yourself and you've maybe been wanting to express it to someone else, this card could be a sign that now is the time to go ahead and say something. For what you stand to gain, I have the Magician. So this is a card about stepping into your personal power, taking inspired action to reach your goals, because you're basically aligning with your higher self and making sure that your goals are aligned with the actions that you're taking at the moment. So basically, you can tap into your magic and it's waiting for you. You just have the decision to make. Your message of hope is Hawk, which tells me that you are on a quest for like personal growth and enlightenment right now. You're reaching new heights, and when you face challenges, you just plunge into them. Hawk wants you to maintain focus right now. Don't get distracted by anything trivial. Just focus on what matters and what's important. Focus on the goal. Cancer placements. What you need to move forward. I pulled the Page of Wands. So what this basically tells me is that you have creative energy right now. You have some ideas going, but what needs to happen next is that they need to get grounded in reality somehow. You might have to devise some sort of strategy. You might have to test out a few different ways that you're going to do that, but what matters is that you are doing that, because we have to remember is that if we don't act on our dreams, that's all they're going to be is dreams. For what you need to remember, I have the reverse Hermit. When the Hermit reverses, it becomes all about the balance between going inward and checking in with yourself and being introspective, but also coming out of your shell and connecting with the outer world and, you know, coming up for air, if you will. For what you stand to gain, I pulled the Chariot. So this is going to be all about applying discipline and your willpower to achieve your goals, channeling your inner strength, knowing that you can use that strength to overcome any of the challenges that come up. So once you ground that spark in reality, like I said, you'll be able to channel that power and channel your strength and make these dreams that you've been dreaming about come true, come into reality. Your message of hope is technically Rabbit. I pulled the Ant again this week for Cancers. I had pulled it on my last weekly readings for them, and when that happens, I always make note of it. So with the Ant coming up again, it tells me that you're still being very hardworking, very industrious, and, you know, getting things done. And with Rabbit, you're just needing to let go of any kind of fear or self-doubt that's holding you back right now, so that you can move forward into new opportunities. You know, keep your eyes peeled for anything that's going to pop up right now. Rabbits also have like 360-degree vision, so they can be like a warning not to miss something that's like right in front of your nose, you know, because you can see everywhere, but you don't see like right in front of you, if that makes sense. For Leos, what you need to move forward, I have the Empress. So this card is all about connecting with like feminine energy, creating beauty in your life wherever you possibly can. If you haven't taken up any new hobbies during the quarantine or anything, you know, and you have the time to do so, now may be the time to just like do stuff with your hands and just really get creative however you can. The Empress also wants you to reflect on what you have to be grateful for, so that you can build on that energy and create more abundance for yourself by being grateful for it and reflecting on it. For what you need to remember, I pulled the Four of Swords, which is all about resting and relaxing, pampering yourself whenever you can. It's really important that you clear your mind of any like mental clutter so that you can build your mental strength right now. For what you stand to gain, I pulled the Six of Wands, and this is a card of like success and victory, putting yourself out there, feeling self-assured and confident, being proud of yourself and being content with where you are, but knowing that you still have a little ways to go. So basically take time to rest and withdraw right now, so that in the future you will be putting yourself out there and you will have the success and the recognition that you're looking for. But for right now, just build on your own mental strength and your own personal wellness. Your message of hope is the Mountain Lion, all about strength and patience, handling yourself with grace during hard times. You know that there are always going to be critics. You know that you can't please everyone, so it is what it is. Just be decisive, you know, make your decisions and stick by them. Virgos, for what you need to move forward, I pulled the reverse Seven of Wands. So this basically means fight for what you believe in. Be true to yourself. Don't ever change. And just know when to stand your ground and when to draw that line and say, this is where I will not budge, this is what I believe, and this is what I stand for. For what you need to remember, I have the Ten of Cups. So follow your heart, trust your intuition, really listen to that inner voice and allow it to lead you a little bit. Let it have some of the control that you might be used to having. Connect with your loved ones however you can right now. Appreciate and support the people who appreciate and support you. Just, you know, feel those loving vibes. For what you stand to gain, I drew the Knight of Cups, which is all about exploring big ideas and your passions, what makes you happy, leading from your heart, sharing the loving vibes that I was talking about earlier. Fighting for what you believe in and staying true to yourself, like I mentioned earlier, will allow you to spread that loving energy and to make your dreams a reality in the way that you're wanting to. Your message of hope is Jellyfish. Find your balance right now. Just get back to simple basics. Go with the flow. You know, jellyfish move on the ocean currents and they let them push them along. Don't try to force anything right now because it's not really going to work out in your favor. Jellyfish can also be a warning not to be too blunt and sting someone with your words. You know, being gentle is probably the best approach this week. Libra placements. What you need to move forward, I have reverse Page of Cups. So don't hold back from expressing any part of yourself right now. Let go of the self-doubt. You know, you can be your biggest critic, but right now it's a time to believe in yourself. And maybe you've been asking yourself, you know, what if this doesn't work out? What if I fail? Ask yourself, what if you succeed? For what you need to remember, I pulled the King of Wands, and this card wants to remind you that you are the determining factor. You have all of the power, and sometimes you forget about that power. You have to remember that you have it and use it to your advantage. You have to be very mindful of your intentions and what you can manifest, because if you want it to happen, then it will. For what you stand to gain, I drew the Queen of Coins, which is about living independently and finding ways to balance your me time with the time that you give to others. You have what it takes, and whatever you're seeking is already within you, so just tap into that. Be mindful of your personal power because it can be used to your advantage and you can find a way to make it work. Your message of hope is the Hummingbird, so lightness of being, enjoying life to the fullest, going with the flow, adapting very quickly to changes. Be present in your life right now, just basically like slow down without actually stopping. Scorpio placements. For what you need to move forward, I drew the Queen of Swords. She's basically a card of like using your intellect and logic in order to look at situations without bias, you know, when you're not leaning on your emotions. It's about being open to the opinions of others and leading with your head rather than your heart. So basically try not to get too tied up in emotions right now. Try to take a step back and look at it rationally from a logical point of view. For what you need to remember, I have the reverse Knight of Swords. So basically if you have a lot of energy right now, you feel blocked, try to find other ways to express that energy. Try to ground yourself, gather your thoughts. Remember that delays and mistakes, you know, they suck, but they happen and they're a part of the journey. If, you know, life was easy, it would be boring. For what you stand to gain, I drew the Queen of Cups, which is about being well-grounded, establishing boundaries for yourself so that you know when to take on the emotional energy and problems of others and when to not, when to say like, you know, no, I'm taking care of me right now. Earlier I talked about leading with your head rather than your heart right now. What you stand to gain once you master doing that, you know, you'll be able to listen to your heart, you'll be able to balance using your logic and using your emotions. Your message of hope is Spider, so this is basically an invitation for you right now to just be very honest and upfront, because all dishonesty is going to do is catch up with you later and cause more problems, and it's just really not worth it. Spider wants you to get in tune with the flow of life around you, and it also wants you to know that you will be in the right place at the right time. Sagittarius, what you need to move forward, I pulled the Star, which I also pulled for the last readings I did for you guys. So right now for you, this time is all about appreciating who you are at like the core of your being, really appreciating your sense of self, getting to know yourself very well and checking in with yourself, listening to your inner voice. For what you need to remember, I pulled the Wheel of Fortune, and what this card is all about is the cycles of life, how life is constantly in a state of change and is always turning, going up and down. This card is also a reminder of the old saying, what goes around comes around, so just be wary. What you're putting out into the world right now will come back to you in turn. For what you stand to gain, I drew the Fool, which usually represents like a new beginning, a new opportunity. Keep your mind open to embrace the unknown, be as carefree as you can be right now, try to be lighthearted, let your heart go free and let it just run. Listen to yourself and allow yourself to dream so that you can figure out what path you want to follow right now. Your message of hope is Lizard, so pay attention to your dreams this week mainly. Lizards are all about the imagination and dreams. Connecting to your imagination. Lizard is a reminder that you're constantly learning and growing. Look for hidden gifts within you that you might not have known about before during difficult times. Capricorn placements. For what you need to move forward, I have the Nine of Wands. And this is a card that basically represents like that last stretch where you're just almost to the finish line, but you just have to keep pushing to get there. So stand tall and strong. If you feel like you can't keep going, lean on the people who support you, ask them for help. You don't always have to do everything on your own. I know you can be very self-disciplined, but it is okay to ask for help every now and then. For what you need to remember, I pulled the reverse Three of Swords. So basically, it's very important for you to be aware of how you talk to yourself. You know, talking down on yourself a lot or having like negative self-talk. It's very easy for us to fall into negative thought patterns. But you know, once you accept your circumstances and you learn to acknowledge your pain and sit with it sometimes rather than trying to repress it or just letting it make you negative, we can acknowledge it and then we can accept that it's a part of us and integrate it into us so that it doesn't bother us so much and cause problems. It just becomes a part of us that we live with. For what you stand to gain, I have the Ace of Wands, which is all about following your heart, living your passion, opening yourself to new things, finding opportunities to grow on like a personal level. Stand tall and strong and be kind to yourself, and you will find new opportunities to grow on a personal level. Your message of hope is Mouse. Going out of your comfort zone can be exhilarating sometimes. It can be exciting to find something new or experience something new. It doesn't always have to be the bad kind of scary. Mouse can also be a warning to pay attention to the little details, but also keep sight of the big picture as well. Aquarius placements. For what you need to move forward, I have reverse strength. It's giving me the vibes that maybe you feel like your own strength is depleted right now, but your core strength is always within you. You can always tap into it and draw upon it. And that's what you need to do right now. I know you feel tired, but you have to keep going. For what you need to remember, I pulled the Nine of Swords. So basically, try not to stress about potential outcomes or what might happen right now. Overthinking can make things like 10 times worse than they actually are. So just try to be aware of when your mind may be like messing with you. Every time a negative thought comes up, maybe just try to like replace it with the opposite, like the positive part of it. For what you stand to gain, I have the Nine of Coins, which is a card of stable foundation, success, due to your efforts, being in harmony and, you know, acknowledging how far you've come, looking at your past, but also, you know, being ready for what's next. So like I said, just keep going right now. That stable foundation that you're working so hard for is just right over the horizon. You're almost there, so you just got to keep going. Your message of hope this week is B. So like I said, I can just tell you're busy. B's message is that you can accomplish anything if you just set your mind to it. Look within yourself for wisdom. The fruits of your labor are coming. You will be able to enjoy them soon. Pisces placements. What you need to move forward, I have reverse death. Embrace change right now. Don't resist it. It's not going to help you to fight it. It's happening and you just have to go along with it. Release what's no longer serving you, whatever you don't need. Release your past. See how much brighter your future gets once you do. For what you need to remember, I have the reverse Seven of Cups. So if you're facing some kind of choice or decision right now, just try to rely on your own inner wisdom. Take a step back. Think about the long term. You know, maybe you kind of already have an idea of what you need. So if you do, just make that decision and go forward with it decisively. For what you stand to gain, I drew the World, which is great. It's a card of wholeness and achievement. Everything coming together, honoring where you've been, and looking forward to where you're going to go next. So basically, I think what you need to remember is that even if some changes happen and you're not a really big fan of them, sometimes they're what's good for you in the long term. In the end, so you just have to deal with them right now, and eventually you'll get to, like I said, the World, your area of wholeness and achievement and things coming together. Your message of hope is Eagle, so don't let anything hold you back. Let your vision and your power fly free and just take advantage of like a bird's eye view of everything. Eagle can also be a warning that you may find yourself being protected or you may be protective of someone else this week. I hope you guys enjoyed these. I worked very hard on them for you. I love to do them though. It was very fun. Like I said, I try to do them every week. If you're not following me on Instagram, that is where all the real magic happens. So go check me out, please. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I will be back with more stuff soon. Let me know how your week goes. Let me know how you liked your cards. Love you. Bye.